Welcome! Today I'm going to be revealing 5 major digital art tips to transform your art from this to this. Yes, that is what my art looked like 2 years ago, and yes, we've all been there. Anyway, this is just a compilation of some of the tips and tricks that I've learned during my digital art journey, and every single one of these tips has improved my art drastically over the years. Let's get on to the actual video. The first tip that I have for you is like a really big one, and that is to flip your canvas. I know you've probably already heard this tip like millions and millions of times before, but it seriously is a really important tip and trick to like make your art so much better, and here's why. So this is a drawing that I've been working on for like 15 minutes or something. It's just a sketch, so obviously it's very messy. And then when I go to flip the canvas, the reason I do this is because when you've been working on something for like even more than 5-10 minutes, your brain starts to mask all the mistakes in it. So when I flip it, you can see a significant difference and see that like the other eye is way smaller than the other one, and the eyebrows, like, oh, what is it even doing up there? Oh my god. And there are just so many things that are wrong with it now that you can spot easily. So flipping your canvas really gives you another view on your entire image, and also helps you get your proportions and anatomy a whole lot better. I use the selection tool, like for example in the eye, I'm just resizing it, and I think the selection tool is like a really good one to use in case you want to make something bigger or smaller or just move it around. And another one that I use is Liquify, which is in Procreate. I'm pretty sure that is in many other drawing apps, but I'm not too sure about that. If you have like sharp edges or something, or if you just want to move something around a little bit and not as drastically as the selection tool. So both of them are very good for solving all your mistakes with it. And also make sure to flip your canvas back around like the way that you want it to be. Tip number 2 is to have a cohesive color palette. What I mean by this, you don't want to just throw a bunch of colors onto a paper. Okay, you know what, that's nice, I'm gonna call it a day. No, you do not want to do that. Either you want them to be similar to each other and next to each other on the color wheel, or you want to have something that contrasts each other highly so they make each other pop out. And so here are 2 easy ways that you can get amazing color palettes in like literally 2 minutes or less. First, you want to download Pinterest. Pinterest is your best friend. Go to Pinterest and search up whatever you're feeling like plus color palette. Some examples: if you want to do a very cottagecore aesthetic piece, you know, lots of warm tones or something, then search up warm toned color palette. Or if you want specifically browns or I don't know, blues, search up brown color palette or blue color palette. Like, there are so many color palettes there. You can even go onto Google if you don't have Pinterest, and there's so many color palette websites as well that just randomly generate color palettes. Or another way that is also pretty easy is to take an existing picture. Procreate has this really awesome feature where you can pick any picture that you want or photo that you want from your camera roll, and Procreate takes that piece and takes the colors from it and makes an automatic color palette. I use it so much. I have way too many color palettes that I use, and it's just such an amazing feature. It saves you so much time. If you don't have Procreate, that's fine. You can literally just like put the digital art piece or whatever you want into your canvas when you're doing like in whatever app, Ibis Paint X, Autodesk Sketchbook, whatever, and you can just color pick it directly. But I really like that feature in Procreate because you don't have to spend so much time color picking, but it's obviously fine if you don't have Procreate. The third tip that I have for you guys today in this video is to experiment with different layer modes. This will make your digital art drawings 10 times more unique and a lot better once you start to experiment with the layer modes and all that jazz. This will also help with different lighting effects so that you don't have to do everything on a normal layer. It really gives an aesthetic touch to your piece, and again, it makes it really unique. Some of the ones that I use the most are Multiply. I use this one for my line art and sketch work because it adds a really nice effect. Sometimes I'm too lazy to do line art, so sometimes I just do it for like my cleaned up sketch. Another layer mode that I use is Add, which is more of kind of like a colored glow. I use this for sharp edged highlights mainly, and I really like using this one especially to add some unique lighting and like some sharp lighting, mainly like lighting that's coming from a specific direction that you want to make very defined. And another one that I like to use is Color Dodge. This gives a really nice glowy look to the like any part of your drawing that you want to make it stand out. And Color Dodge I add for more soft highlights to give it a glowing effect, while Add I use for more of the like hard edged highlights. I like to use the overlay one if I'm adding any texture or anything like that. So make sure to experiment with all of them. I still haven't experimented with all the layer modes yet. These are just some of the ones that I use the most, and I'm looking forward to getting to know some of the other ones better. Tip number 4 is to add effects. Trust me, this will change your art so drastically, and it's not just effects that you want. You also want to add texture to your art, and adding texture and effects can make your characters seem like they're kind of in their own world, if you know what I mean. Instead of just making it like a simple 2D drawing, there's nothing wrong with that, but if you want to give your art some little pizzazz, some little, you know, personality, then adding effects and textures will change it drastically. The first one is chromatic aberration. I really like using this one just to spice things up a little bit. Glitch, if I'm doing any drawing that involves many like neon colors versus dark, or if I want to add something that's like kind of futuristic or something like that. Halftone, which kind of gives it a comic book vibe. And halftone, I also have a brush for halftone in Procreate, which I also like to use, but the halftone effect thing in Procreate is also very nice. But I like using Gaussian blur. I just use it to highlight, make things stand out in my drawing, like maybe an object that my character is holding, or maybe the face of the character. And this leads us on to our final tip for this video. This tip is literally the most important tip that I can give you guys here today. And I know some of you may already do this, but use references. Oh my god. You do not know how important this tip is. Like, honestly, using references legit changed my life once I started using them. And you don't even have to have any fancy app like Pinterest. You can literally just Google search it. Using references really helps me with many things. It helps me with body poses or anatomy in general, not making the legs too short, head too big for the body. It just kind of takes a bunch of pressure off yourself. I also really like looking at references and just scrolling through Pinterest because it really helps me look at other artists' art styles and like the way that they draw eyes or the way that they color, and it just really helps me find my own art style and see what I want to do with my art. So using references is definitely a huge game changer, and I definitely recommend that you look for references. So that brings us to the end of the video. I really hope you find these tips included in the video helpful. If you ever want like a part 2 or something, then just make sure to comment that down below. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. Stay hydrated and peace out.